Welcome to the bonus video for the feeding grounds and the Dwarven fortress. Since the feeding grounds didn't really have that much going on for bonus material, I figured I'd combine it with the Dwarven fortress, which would actually have quite a lot of bonus material. First things first, attacking the tail of the dragon. Don't do it, because it retaliates quite strongly, and it even hits you from a square away. Attacking or otherwise annoying the dragon in general is a pretty bad idea, but that probably speaks for itself.
Enough.
Your first conversation with the dragon can actually proceed quite differently if you pissed it off before you actually came to him. She's noticeably more ticked off.
What do you want?
I'm just exploring here.
I am the great Vermitrix Goldenhide. I am the leader of the great dragons. You are not an explorer. You have come to mock me and steal my treasure, haven't you?
No, I am looking for treasure.
I knew it.
But not your treasure.
Prove it.
You are obviously in trouble. I will try to help you.
The Throg shamans were the ones to capture me. They will eat you alive if I don't. They put me in this magic lock and broke the key into halves. Find those pieces, fix the key, and return to free me. For if I escape before you return, I will spend the rest of your life hunting you down.
So, not as nice as usual. If you have the key but also attacked some of the dragon's body parts, Vermitrix is again a little less patient with you.
Do you have the key?
Yes, we have the key.
Do not stand there. Unlock me! Unlock me now!
You promise not to roast me if I do?
Yes. And I promise to roast you if you do not.
And don't wait too long.
Hurry! Unlock me!
It's a nice little detail that whenever Vermitrix speaks, you can hear the soft clinking of her chains in the background.
Enough.
Back to those magical froggish glyphs which hurt you when you step through them. Here's the only way the game tells you that it's actually the red feathers that protect you from them. Now let's see what happens if you try to step through them when you don't have those feathers on you. That hurts. Now you see why I waited until I found the feather to step through them. Alright, here we are in the Dwarven fortress, and as you can imagine, there's quite a lot of stuff to do differently here. If you return to Dalmber after completing the Stone Shooter quest, he's friendly as usual.
Yes. I'm busy, and my time is not to be wasted.
Nothing. I'm sorry to disturb you.
Ah, well, in that case, I will return to my work.
Let's see what happens when you don't follow Farley's directions.
What? I said right.
He doesn't care for it much.
Turn around. It's the other way. Wrong way, Drake. No dwarf blood in you. We never get lost.
I'm not lost, I'm just not listening to you. Last time I was here, it was Karzak who warned me when Grak tried to attack me. This time I only have Farley and Domber with me.
What do you want? Watch out!
Use the frog in disguise. Some sort of illusion magic. Thanks for the warning. It saved my life.
Don't mention it.
So that's slightly different. Now we've seen Karzak and Farley warn Drake against Grak's attack, but what if he's alone?
My master wants your soul!
I love that voice sample. Let's hear some more random dwarf dialogue.
Have you seen Grak? He was supposed to report for duty over 2 hours ago.
I'm a little worried about Grak. He hasn't been himself since returning from patrol a couple of days ago.
Grak? A traitor? You must be joking.
I'm almost certain this line only triggers if you've actually fought Grak yet.
There's an evil to the west. You can feel it when you get close. Be careful.
This guy says the west, but the zombie is actually to the east, so I think that's a slight mistake in dialogue.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Get some of those Throggish scum for me!
Will do, buddy. Orson the librarian has a few more lines too if you return to him later.
Have you read the scrolls yet? Your journey is an education. Never forget that.
Yeah, whatever, Orson.
You have returned.
If you've not yet spoken to the dragon when you get to Torin,
Enough.
the conversation happens quite differently.
Drake, what do you ask of me?
I came to see if the dwarves would help.
We are a good people, and our relationship with Stonekeep goes back many years. My step-uncle Orvig was a solid friend of the leaders of Stonekeep. We will help.
Thank you.
Walk the halls. Speak to my people. Have Karzak join your side again. He seemed rather happy when he spoke with me earlier. Return when you have learned more and we will talk. I wish to speak with you some more.
So that's an interesting little callback to the character of Orvig from the novel Pharaoh Awakening. Alright, Guildor. There's some interesting things about Guildor. First of all, even with Karzak in your company, you can kill Guildor in his own shop without pissing off any of the other dwarves. I guess it's a slight oversight in programming. And since Guildor's room is closed off from the others, no other dwarf will ever find him, so there's no risk of getting attacked later. Why would you want to do this? Well, Guildor has a unique key on him. A key which fits into a certain room, which I'm gonna visit right now. This door that I couldn't open before fits this key. And it's basically Guildor's stock room. There's a couple of generic weapons in here, each of which I already have at least one of. But also this, a warhammer, which is actually a weapon which I won't be able to find until one of the last levels. It's an extremely powerful hammer. And on the ground here is a tiny little scroll.
Line missing.
Which has a message from the Stonekeep team on it, I guess. Let's try something else. While unprovokedly killing Guildor doesn't have any consequences, trying to leave without paying, it does. First, let's see what happens if you don't have enough money to pay him.
36 gold. I am so sorry, my friend. Your purse is a little too light to make this purchase.
That's all. You could basically pull some stuff off the table in order to make it cheaper. But let's see what happens when you try to leave without paying.
Excuse me, Drake. You haven't paid for that yet. Excuse me, Drake. You haven't paid for that yet. You weren't thinking of leaving without paying, were you?
And as you can see, that's exactly what I just did. It's a little buggy. Often the first 2 times you try to leave, he actually lets you go. He put everything back on his tables as well. Alright, let's try this one more time.
Excuse me, Drake. You haven't paid for that yet. You weren't thinking of leaving without paying, were you? Stop, thief! You cannot rob me.
And here the entire Dwarven fortress becomes hostile against me, including Karzak, who now gets all up in my face. Dwarves are actually pretty tough opponents overall. And here I start facing quite a horde of them, actually. Oh dear.
Dwarf Slayer!
That's not something you want to hear. Yeah, against 5 dwarves you don't really have a chance. Not by yourself. Let's see what happens when you try to take an advance on the reward for killing the zombie.
Is not your property. I was mistaken about you.
And again the entire Dwarven fortress becomes hostile against me. Here come Torrent's guards now. Let's try and deal with this. Dwarves really like to use oil bottles at range, though their aim can be a little off. That scroll lying on the ground tells me one of these guys was actually Guildor and he just dropped his price list. Well, Torin, what do you have to say for yourself? Let's take care of the boss man. There he lies. Good night, sweet prince. Here's how Sardin reacts if the dwarves have become hostile against you.
Go away. I won't serve you after what you've done here.
Something interesting about the Dwarven fortress. It's the only spot in the game where your progress depends on another character. In this case, Sardin the blacksmith. You need to get that key forged. But what if you've made an enemy of the dwarves? Well, at least someone on the Stonekeep team thought of that, and made sure that you wouldn't get stuck in the game if it happened. First, let's do things normally. But instead of giving the magic flint to Sardin, let's do something he doesn't appreciate, and step into his workshop. I will need a strength rune for this, because there's a spear fence that I need to force open.
Do you have the flint? Now stop right there. Can't let you go any further, see? Non-employees are not permitted on the shop floor. Step back behind the line.
If I step back, there's no foul. But if I now proceed, I'm in trouble. So let's do just that. Notice that slightly different looking dwarf back there? That's Soldin, Sardin's brother.
Hey, you don't belong here.
He's the only dwarf in the game that has that leather armor and wields a hammer, and he's put in a spot where you're normally never actually supposed to meet him. That is pretty interesting.
You killed my brother. You'll pay for that.
Also, Sardin is a complete wimp. It's pretty weird how elaborately they planned for this encounter. Almost like they expected the player to become a murderous psychopath. Seldon is a lot tougher than his brother. And he drops a very interesting thing, a stone hammer. This is exactly the same hammer that you could have picked up from the statue in the Temple of Froggy, and it's an item that you absolutely need in order to forge the key yourself. First, let's make sure there's no other dwarves coming to see what all the fuss is about. Light the forge with the magical flint. Put the pieces of the key on the forge. They need to be placed rather precisely in order for this to work. And lastly, use the hammer on them. There we go. One completely fixed key. All by myself. And none of the other dwarves even noticed. Alright, that's all the bonus stuff I can think of for the Dwarven Fortress. Hope I'll see you in the next level.